Hello replay viewers, thank you for hopping in. I am Karen and I am scoping here today at Black Creek Pioneer Village here in Toronto, just north of Toronto a little bit. So if you're just catching the replay, thank you. And if you're hopping on here live as I see people joining, thank you as well. Thanks for the hearts. So what I'm trying to do today is to share just a little bit, a bit of a glimpse into a village that is set up to take us back to the 1860s. Hola. Hey John, thanks for popping in. If you haven't caught my other scope, I've been scoping for about an hour here already. So thanks for inviting followers. This is Black Creek Pioneer Village. It is set in the 1860s, before Canada was a confederation, which was 1867. This is one of the original homes right there, which I will take you into. I'm going to take you into the store behind me first, working on the Best of Lab winners. Awesome. So it's a beautiful day here in just north of the city, north of downtown. This is a hotel right here I just took you into, and you can catch that on the replay. So let's go into the post office, the Lasky Emporium and Post Office here. This building dates back to 1856. So it's a general store in this village. So let's have a look. And just so you know, this is an active kind of touring village here in Toronto, and I am going to try my hardest to not to scope any of the children that are wandering around, any of the people that are around. So you'll see me trying to avoid them at all costs. So I am just going to lower my monopod here. So let's check out the corner store. Oops. So again, this is back in the 1860s. So things that you would see back in that time period. And you have to remember, these are people who immigrated from Scotland, Germany, England, to make their way to settle in a country they really probably didn't know a whole lot about. And it was on a river, which the mill became very active in their life, which created a village. What Toronto did was the mill, and there was a barn and a couple of structures already here on this property back in that day. So what they've done is, around all of Ontario, they collected homes, structures from that period, and brought them here. Yeah, hey AFTA, Black Creek has allowed me in here to scope. And also to respect Black Creek. I am trying to avoid any shooting of any scoping of any of the children and so on. So you'll see me try to avoid looking at them. So I haven't been here in years, and I haven't been here during the day. So I hope you can hear me all right. I've taken my headphones off because if we come across someone that can talk to us about the history, then we get them to talk about it. So here's just a little bit of an info sheet. Yeah, a couple of years back, and they're just preparing for Christmas. So here, let me just kind of move the camera around so you get an idea of what the post office, the little general store here. You went on Halloween, awesome. Thanks for the hearts, guys. If you've just joined me, I'm at Black Creek Pioneer Village, a village that's set back in the 1860s here in Ontario. So you get a bit of an idea of the lifestyle, livelihood of people in that time period. Thanks for inviting followers, Afton. I need water. Thanks for joining, everyone. I'm taking you on a bit of a walk to the past, to around 1860s. This is the post office, the general store. I would imagine this would be the office of the manager, the one who owned the store. You've got Pelts here. So this is just north of downtown Toronto. And again, it's a village, Black Creek Pioneer Village, set in the 1860s. Some of these all of these buildings, well, most of them are original buildings. Some have been refurbished. Some are original to the property. So this is just your post office and your general store, and what you might find in it. So I'm just going to go back over here. So the post office, I would imagine that this would be a pretty busy place. It says the Dominion Telegraph Company. Yeah, how cold. But well, you know what, right now I suppose it's pretty warm at this time of year here, because every time you walk into a location, they've got the fire going. So I would imagine that this time of year, it is actually quite warm. Thanks everyone that's joined. If you'd like to follow me, I scope in and around Toronto. And if you're watching live, the little guy to the lower right, if you tap on him, you can follow me there. You can share by swiping to the right on iPhone, swiping up on Android. That would be appreciated. Again, thanks for all the hearts, guys. I'm really enjoying my visit here at Black Creek. I haven't been here during the day. Hello, Born. Thanks for popping in. So they're just setting up as well for Christmas. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing, guys. I really appreciate it. I love the history of this place, and I'm going to be coming back. Black Creek has allowed me to visit multiple times, so I'm really going to do my homework so that I can really give you some history lesson while we're here. It looked like they are still doing great business. Well, it's really interesting. I'm surprised there's not a shop owner here, because in a couple of the other buildings, you'll see there are people there that will really help with telling us a little bit more about the history. So yeah, I just can't imagine. Pretty cool though. But I will be making multiple trips here and really breaking it down for everybody. I'm looking at these drawers, knobs, hinges, key, like for your key locks, and just all kinds of little things in here. I'm hoping maybe next time there will be someone behind the counter and they'll be able to, in costume, be able to speak to a lot of this. Do they have a till? Do they have a till? So amazing to see it just as it was. Where is this village in Toronto? This village, here I'm just gonna show you the outside from the store window. The village here is just north of Toronto, just below the 407. It's north of the city, just a wee bit north of downtown. And some of these buildings are original to the property. Others have been brought in. for that time period of the 1860s. And that's before Confederation, which is, we're almost 150 years old, so 1867. So here again, you can see that they've really wanted to show you that this was a market as well when you came to the store. And of course the paper that you wrap everything up with when you buy stuff, the machine to weigh everything, your coffee and spices. The sign up here says, "Bring your old powder tins. We will refill them for 1 cent per pound." So yeah, I love all of this. And a till. Someone asked about a till. I don't see a till, but you can see that they've got like arrowroot, raisins, gargling oil, twists, all kinds of stuff back here, which would probably just be put in like paper bags. Soap up here. This store is really cool. Yeah, and then your post office, where they've got parcels, baking. You got your baking stuff. I'm going to take you to rolling pins. I'm going to take you to the doctor's office if you stick around. But then you can catch that on replay as well. So here they've numbered, I guess, accordingly. Little House on the Prairie store. It is exactly, you know, it's back in the 1860s, if you're just joining me. And again, what you see in every building is a fireplace. And it's really warm in here, so you know what, if this is the day, thanks for inviting followers. Celestriana, thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying the post office and the corner store. For anyone new to the broadcast, you're with Karen, and I'm scoping at Black Creek Pioneer Village. Between insurance and lawsuits, we have managed to raise prices of all products. Scope date joined. Hey Mike, I'm at Black Creek Pioneer Village. It's a village that represents Ontario back in the 1860s. So I'm just taking a walk around the village, popping in, and we have people in the village that we can talk to in certain buildings. This was just the post office and the market. So this red building right in front of me, that is one of the original structures from this property. Strong Family's second house. You're enjoying it? Thanks. That's great. This is the hotel and bar area. And again, I just came out of, you notice that they're setting up for Christmas, so you'll see a lot of like modern ladders. What? Thank you. So this is Lasky's Emporium, where we get your mail, your fruit, and veggies, and everything else that you would need. So all these buildings, they've been refurbished basically from and pulled in from different areas of Ontario, but they are, you know, back in that era time period. This one, this red one, which I'm going to right now, is an original one. Again, the Strong Family's second home. Just gonna let you see it for a minute. Dating back to 1832. 1832. Now this, as I was reading, it shows the Strong Family's prosperity on the property after 16 years of homesteading. So we're gonna go inside and have a look. And I believe the woman of the home is home. So you were around then. born king. Just looking at the other buildings here on this property. And also, I'll show you. So this is, like I said, it's the original, the second home of the Strong family, who owned this property back in 1832 and earlier. So I just want to show you. We know what that is, but again, it's not functioning. So we're not going to go in it, but we are going to go into the home. So let's go up the stairs. And this bench over here was dedicated in the memory of Elmer and Helen Stong, the last occupants of this house as a private residence. So we're going to go inside. Are these buildings original or refurbished? Some are original and some are refurbished, but they are of the era and moved here from around Ontario. They moved it here to the property. So they've created a village for all to enjoy, to experience what Ontario was like back in around the 1860s. So we are now here in the second home of the Stong family home. And this is a typical breakfast in this at this time of year. And of course we have our fire. And it's very, very warm in the home, so it would be actually warm at this time of year in this house. Some of the settlers were English, British. This household was German, am I correct?
Pennsylvania German.
Pennsylvania German. So we are going to speak to the lady of the house for a minute. Maybe she can give us some highlights of this house. So would that be fine if you gave us some highlights of this house?
Okay. Well, we'll start at the beginning.
Okay.
The house was built in 1832 by Daniel and Elizabeth Stong, and it is one of the 5 buildings that has never been moved on the site. So they had started off in the 1816 house that is next door. Their farm had prospered, they'd worked hard, so it was time for their second house. And shortly after they moved into this house, they had their last child, number 8. So there were 8 children in total. So you want to think about that when you're looking at the beds.
Okay.
It's always, I have a math question for children.
Okay, how many beds to how many kids?
Well, there's, to look at the number of beds in the girls' room and the boys' room, you know there's 8 children. You tell me how many girls and how many boys. And it's amazing, the students that can't figure it out.
All right, we will go upstairs in a minute, people, and have a look at the bedrooms and ask ourselves that question.
And then you can come down and see if it's right.
Come down and see if it's right.
Well, my great nephew figured it out when he was 4.
Oh, nice.
So it's not that hard.
Well, maybe we think too deeply into it. Maybe we think too deeply into it.
And right now I'm working on some strawberry pincushions. This dates back to about the 1860s.
Oh, there you go, guys. Look at that.
And they're Iroquoian in style, which is one of our First Nations.
Now, would you sell this in the store to make some money?
No.
No, this is for
It would
personal.
be very unseemly for Mrs. Stong to have to sell things. Like she might sell eggs and butter, but to sell her handwork would mean that her husband couldn't support her properly.
All right. Okay.
Or something along that line. What I'm talking about is making these for the local church sale or charity sale. The children today call it fundraising.
Okay.
Now, it's a pincushion. Where's my other pincushion
So
here?
guys, we'll come on closer here. The light is washing it out a little bit. Okay.
Okay, that one's not very sharp. There's a sharp one. Pincushion.
Pincushion, guys.
Most people end up putting them on the Christmas tree.
Gotcha. Which is in the other room, and I will take you into the other room so you can see what the decorations are like and what types of decorations back in the 1860s were kind of used for decorating a Christmas tree.
And just the one other thing I wanted to complete my little topic is that these could be made for the local charity sale. So then you would be giving them, for example, let's say a church, because that was popular. So you make a bunch of handmade pretty things, you send it to the church, they get sold, and that money goes for the poor or whatever the worthy charity is. And there would be a lot of that going on. The earliest Canadian example I have is in the 1830s.
Okay, great. Guys, if you're just joining, I'm at Black Creek Pioneer Village, just north of the downtown core in Toronto. And this is a village set in the 1860s. Now we're in the home of, we're in the Stong home, and it's a Pennsylvania, how do you say it?
Pennsylvania German.
Pennsylvania German. And we're going to have we're going to take a look at the table that's set up here and the types of food at this time of year that would be, you know, known to be eaten by this family. So, are you able to kind of walk me through?
Sure. It's not very busy at the moment.
Yeah. So I'm trying to take advantage of the lady of the. Would you say yourself the lady of the house?
The lady of the house.
The lady of the house is that.
Always appropriate.
Is good.
Well, let's start at this end.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
We have a dried apple cake. You can see I've got the little dried apples here.
And we can see right above your head
Is the apple drying
is
rack.
them drying, which is pretty neat.
And you have to think about the good 6 months or so of winter that you maybe can't buy fresh food. So preserving food is very important, and that's the easiest way to preserve apples.
Wonderful.
Next, the cottage loaf. This is a loaf of bread. We've done it with white flour this year. The white flour would be a change from the rye and the whole wheat flour that would be normally found on this table. So for Christmas, something a little special. If you're a Harry Potter fan, in one of the Christmas scenes, there's a beautiful cottage loaf of bread, which inspired me. This is the next thing. These are called Springerle, and I'm sure many people can pronounce it better than I can. This is an anise-flavored cookie. I'm going to get, this is the bird. This is one of the weird birds. And it dates back to the late medieval era.
Wonderful.
And this one was made, this is a bee for the honey that would have been the sweetener many years ago, before the sugars were around. So the bee would be important, and the mold for this is over 100 years old.
Wow.
I got permission to use it once.
Nice.
I always do some sort of apple center decoration, so this is this year's version of my apple tree.
And this was all made here, right?
Yes.
In this kitchen, guys. This
Mostly
table,
by me.
yeah, was made by this fire.
Yes, and you're going to be seeing this in a minute. You might want to pay note to the heart-shaped waffle iron. Now, just give me a sec here.
All right. Look at that. Okay.
That's a waffle iron. And of course, it's cast iron. Probably would have been made in Europe. This is in Scandinavia, it's an Eppelskiver. I call it an Oli-Boli pan.
Okay.
And this one happens to be a Canadian reproduction. Even the iron is Canadian. We have one of the original ones in another house.
Okay.
So, and this is what this makes. We call them Oli-Bolin. In Canada, we have a very famous donut shop called Tim Hortons.
There we go.
And their little round donuts are called Timbits. So I jokingly refer to these as Pioneer Timbits.
There we go.
Our waffles.
Yes, right on. You were real. The real Mario. Yes, you're right. Waffles.
And they're sweet potato waffles.
Oh, there you go.
There was a fad of sweet potato waffles in the 1840s. And in the pie plate, this is a Johnny cake or a cornbread. The cornmeal was cheaper than flour, and it was just a staple. My mother made it. I grew up making it. It's a typical breakfast food. Now, we still have to do the plates.
Yes, the plates.
And the plates are a southern German tradition known as Bunter-Teller, which means pretty plate. I'm sure you have people that know more about this than I do. And so what is on it is the once a year Christmas orange. In this part of the world, oranges come from Spain. They're expensive, and if you got an orange for Christmas, you were doing well. And so we do economics with oranges at the village. The Stongs are just getting started. In the first house, they have one orange.
Okay.
We can afford an orange for everybody in the house. In our wealthier house, there is a whole bowl full that exceeds the number of people living in it.
But this house does not have a piano.
No. I believe Jacob, the eldest son, when he built his house, he had a piano.
Okay.
It's just a specialty thing right now. It's going to become more popular. The last of the summer apples. This is Canada, so it's maple sugar candy.
There you go.
Would have been carefully hoarded since the spring. This is a molasses taffy candy, very much like the molasses kisses we get at Halloween.
Right.
It tastes very similar. And homemade candy stick.
Nice.
The children think of candy cane.
Right.
And I was just thinking of I heard a song on the radio, da-da-da-da, something, a candy stick for old Saint Nick.
Right,
Stick.
Hey, what's up?
And of course, a gingerbread cookie. Where would we
Delicious.
be without a gingerbread man? This year, they were a little soft, so they're in some fancy contortions. And I've used currants for the eyes and for the buttons this year.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And you would get this in this culture in place of a Christmas stocking.
All right.
So if you got that, maybe a small toy and a pair of mittens, you had a good haul for Christmas.
Wonderful. Guys, a lot of this, it's Pennsylvania German.
Yes. You see,
Fair,
when
so.
we had a lot of German immigrants to Pennsylvania from the religious wars in the 1600s.
Okay.
And William Penn said, oh, well, we're religiously adaptable. I want anybody he was a Quaker, very well known. And so there was quite a fusion of the various Germanic, and there's some of them from France, some from Switzerland, that corner of the world, and they have developed into a slightly different specific culture, Pennsylvania German.
Okay, a lot of history here, guys. This is a village called Black Creek Pioneer Village, here just north of Toronto, and it represents Ontario back in the 1860s. So I'm just walking around the village, coming into different homes, and we're lucky enough to have the lady of the house here to help explain a lot of the traditions and how things got taken care of. I mean, they have to keep the fire burning. All of this that you see on the table was cooked here in the kitchen. So a lot of history here. We're going to just move to the next room, and the Christmas tree is set up, so we can take a look at some of the items that they would have put up on their Christmas tree at that time. And then we'll go upstairs and we'll see the bedrooms. So here we go. This is probably the parlor, correct?
This is the parlor.
Again, this is an original home. So in the original location. So we are going to have a look at this Christmas tree. So obviously a lot of these were handmade.
Yes, a lot of handmade items. One of the features, of course, is the gingerbread.
The gingerbread. Yes.
And you'll notice while the cookie cutters, most of them that made the cookies are modern, the idea was that animals were popular, and Pennsylvania German ladies like to collect cookie cutters.
There you go.
So there's a virtual Noah's Ark on there. And
Wonderful.
got a couple of tiny stories if you want them.
Okay, yes, absolutely.
I always wondered who this funny character was.
Okay.
And I hid him in the back of the tree because I didn't know who he was. I have found out he represents William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania.
Oh my goodness.
And he was Quaker, he was a pacifist, and he had excellent relations with the First Nations in the area. And the way you sign a contract with those specific people is to smoke the peace pipe. And now I'm going to get religious and say the message of Christmas is peace on earth, goodwill towards men. So he's smoking his peace pipe, showing his goodwill.
Thanks for coming on, guys who have to leave, but we're going to just continue. That is so funny. That's a great tidbit of information.
And there's the other funny story is this very strange northern pike that's about 12 inches long.
And what is the history behind that?
Well, a couple of years ago, I was gifted with a little bag, and somebody dropped it off at the head office. It went to our interpretive office. I was away for a few days, and I came back, and they said, "Oh, this is for you." I never found out who it was from, and the cookie cutter was part of this little bag. And I have never found out who gave it to me. So my way of saying thank you is, of course, is to make the cookie and put it on the tree, and hopefully they'll see it and see how much I like the cookie cutter.
Very nice, very nice. And you leave it right out there in case they come by and have a look. Wonderful. And there's a room behind me here. Who would have stayed in this room?
This is the parents' bedroom.
Oh, okay. Guys, here we go.
So
Separate beds.
The cradle with 8 children. There's always going to be somebody in the cradle.
Right.
And then what will show up soon is a sick bed with 8 children who wants to run up and down the stairs at night in the dark to look after a sick child.
That's right.
So we have a lovely cheddar colored quilt on the sick bed.
And you didn't make that?
No.
Would the woman of the house have made that?
Actually, that particular quilt dates back to about 1900, but it is in a color that was popular in the 1860s, and the pattern is pinwheel.
Okay.
And it's one of about 50 quilts we have in the village.
Dating back to, sorry, what time period again? The 1860s or?
Well, we have quite a selection of quilts.
Okay.
It just happened that that one, it would probably be classed as colonial revival, and I'm getting too technical. I often do.
Very technical.
But the cheddar color is popular, the pinwheel pattern is popular, and it just happens it was made in 1900.
Great. And I can, oh, no, I can't.
Yes,
go
you
up here.
can.
Okay, so there's stairs from the front through the kitchen, and then there's stairs from here, so you can go like a circle, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go upstairs and then come back down through the kitchen.
Yes, that is the girls' staircase.
The girls' staircase, okay, but I can see the boys' room, or do
We
I have
we put a hole in the wall.
You put a hole in the wall.
Well, it's an opening, and it's not a proper doorway,
Okay,
and I call it the hole in the wall.
so they've renovated the house slightly.
Well, things that we have to do for public access
Yes, there
as
you
a
go.
museum.
There you go. Okay, guys.
I'll let you go.
Thank you. I will see you in a few minutes. We're gonna try and make it up these stairs. So if you're just joining me, guys, I'm in Black Creek Pioneer Village. This is a village set up for to represent a village in the 1860s. Some of these homes, this particular home that we're in is an original home on the property that it was. So this is basically how this home would have been set up back in the 1860s. So that's pretty cool. And it has, this is a girls' staircase for the girls to come up. Like, what history? Like, this has been like since 1860s, guys. 1860s. I mean, I haven't been to England yet. That's gonna blow my mind. If this blows my mind, England's gonna go blow my mind. Okay, so they have 8 kids. This must have been the boys' room. Sorry, I can't. I'll move over here where the windows. There we go. That's better. So this must have been, the bench is cool, yeah. Thanks for all replay viewers, and thanks for everyone popping in and staying around and enjoying this walk through history with me. I've really enjoyed sharing it. So there's 8 kids, so there's 3 beds. There's a bed just beyond the door where we came up in the girls' room. And also the mattresses, you gotta look at the mattress, how bumpy the mattress is. I'm not gonna touch it, or oops, needs focus. So this again, as I said, is an original home. So this is kind of the view out of the window of the boys' room. What they would have seen back in the 1860s. So I'm gonna move on over here. Thanks for joining. You're with Karen. I scope. Oh, this is a room that has a lot of herbs and spices drying. If you're just joining me, I know you're that's supposed to be funny. Frankie, keep it clean, please. Keep it clean. And I guess for weaving. If you're just joining me, I'm at Black Creek Pioneer Village in Toronto, just north of the city. Hello from Scarborough, hello. And I am just taking a look and a walk through the village that is dating back to the 1860s. So here's a lot of things that they've kept in this room, so I'm not entirely sure. This might be a girl's room. It looks like a girl's room, but then they're storing some pieces in here. Again, I'm in one of the original houses that was on this property back in the 1830s, 1860s. So it's pretty cool to walk around history like this.
And then if you like, you could, after through the parlor,
Pretty cool.
up the stairs, around.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down the stairs, 1800s. Yeah, probably 1860s, but this house is 1832. So let's go down the stairs. And we're back in the kitchen. No, I didn't, so I'm just going to take a really nice look over here. Hey Janice, how are you doing? I'm at Black Creek Pioneer Village, a village that's pretty well set in the about 1860s. This house though is an original home dating back to 1832, and it's on the original property. Pennsylvania German landowners here. So we are going to leave here, and I'm going to take you, let me have a look where I want to take you next. I think I'm going to try the doctor's office next. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome, and happy holidays, but Merry Christmas.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's go to the doctor's office. Ooh. So again, this was an original home dating back to 1832. And I'll turn around so that you can see the home. There's quite a bit of information, and I'd like to share as much as I can today. I am going to come back though. So I'm looking at what this one is right behind me. Smokehouse and butchery. So let's just turn around here. Thanks for sharing, Janice. Phil, thanks for joining. So this building right here, I see they're building something there, but this building is the original building, and it's the Smokehouse and Butchery, 1816, in and around that time period, and it's on the original site. Did they have 3 floors? Ah, we forgot that, right? Next time we'll have to worry about that. So the meat was butchered and preserved here for throughout the year for them to have. So let's just pop in here and have a look. So original building, 1816. It's on the original, yeah, 1816. There's some cookies and a pie, and maybe the butcher stayed here. Well, maybe next time I come, the person that lives here who takes care of the meat and so on will be here. I see the wool here from the sheep. All right, so let's take a look out the window. The sheep they were in that field just beyond there. Someone doesn't live there right here right now, but they do have the fire going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you up here, up the lane. I hope you can hear me. Maybe I'll put my headphones in or my earpiece in. This is the post office and the market where you buy veggies and all of that stuff. There we go. I hope you can hear me a little bit better. I take my mic off me and just go use my phone when I know there's someone there that can speak to me. Okay. And if you look at the replay, I've been into that store, the Lasky Emporium. That's in earlier part of this scope. So the great part now is that you can fast forward and rewind, which is quite nice. So I want to go down to that white building right there. They're setting up for Christmas here. This is where you would go and you would get a drink. You could stay overnight. It's a hotel, bar. This upper place where the balcony is a dance floor. So you would go up and you would dance. So the doctor's office is down this lane. So let me have a look. Yeah, isn't that cool? Very nice. So I'm just going to go. So if you can picture, just this little village here with the mail, the post office right there. 1840. Luke, wow. Before Confederation, a lot of people immigrated to Canada not knowing anything and, uprooted their families. This right here, is there water nearby? Well, the water is right there. You see the mill in the distance? The river is right there. So this place right here is the blacksmith shop, where a lot of forging going on with iron wares and tools for the farm and the house. So this building structure came from Nobleton here around Ontario, 1855. I don't know if I can see a whole lot in here. We do have someone working though. So I'm going to take my mic off and maybe some tidbits of information.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to the blacksmith shop.
Thank you. I am on Periscope, and I don't know if you know Periscope, especially around the 1860s. You certainly wouldn't. But I have people on my scope from around the world.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if you could share any information about what a blacksmith would do on maybe a daily basis and what you're doing right now.
Well, what I'm doing right now is actually called coking coal. So, in a blacksmith shop, one of the most important tools is right here, what's called the forge. And the forge is effectively, is effectively just a metal box with a hole in the bottom that both lets some of the soot fall out and allows oxygen to come in. So when you're a blacksmith, your main business involves taking iron or steel and changing its shape for a variety of tools. In the 1860s, most commonly what you'd be doing would be shoeing horses or repairing farm equipment. And to do that, you need to heat the metal to a quite hot temperature. What we use in this shop mostly is what's called mild steel. While they would have had mild steel in the 1860s, it would have been relatively rare. Most of what they would have been using is called wrought iron. Wrought iron is actually much better for a blacksmith. It has a wider range of temperatures that you can work it at. Mild steel mostly likes to be about 1,250 degrees Celsius to be worked. And to get a fire that hot, what we're using is coal. In the 1860s, they're mostly importing bituminous coal from Pennsylvania. It has become cheap because the railroad lines going through have made it a possibility to ship massive quantities, no problem. And using that coal and the bellows, which is visible from this side behind, which I'm pumping with this handle here, getting a huge amount of oxygen into this fire. And actually on this forge, it's possible to get temperatures upwards of 1,650 degrees Celsius. You can liquefy iron at that temperature. Actually, we do have a small crucible somewhere, but working with liquid iron, cast iron, in a blacksmith shop would have been a relative rarity. Most of that would have been being done in factories. By the 1860s, the Industrial Revolution is well underway, and you're dealing with a lot of factory-made goods. But the village blacksmith is still a very important figure in that, when it comes right down to it, warranties, not so much a thing. You purchase the item from the reseller, usually your local general store, or possibly for larger equipment, you purchase it directly from the factory, or go to the 1860s equivalent of a big box store in one of the main centers like Kingston or York, what later became Toronto.
Right.
And once it wears out, then you come to the village blacksmith to get it fixed. For instance, a very common piece in use is visible down here. This is only a small chunk of it. It's called a harrow. It would have been being dragged over your fields, pulling up a lot of weeds effectively, getting ready for planting. You don't want competition for your crops. Because it's being pulled through fields around this area all the time, hitting stones constantly and breaking. So you bring it in and get it welded back together when it breaks. So yeah, other than that, I don't know, is there a general knowledge level?
No, not at all.
Okay.
What would the
Cheers.
would the blacksmith, in society here in the village, would he live a pretty happy?
Economically,
yeah,
quite well to do. He's still working class. You're not looking at, say, a gentleman as such, but you're looking at somebody who's quite well off.
Thanks, guys. for joining.
You're
Are you looking at living in this yellow house over here? Is the one that's being
actually,
refurbished?
The yellow house over there,
Yeah.
Flint House, is associated with the Boot and Shoe next door.
Okay.
That they were actually historically associated. All the buildings in the village have been moved here from various places.
Right.
They
exactly.
came together.
Right. Right.
No, the blacksmith actually, as an indicator of the desirability of the job, how lucrative it is. Where, as with most trades in the 1860s, the way of learning it is through a apprenticeship.
Right.
Well, a lot of apprenticeships, would likely pay the apprentice a small amount. It was not unknown for blacksmiths to be paid to take apprentices. It was that good a job.
Right.
So On the other hand, as with all business ventures, it has a lot to do with where you are and how the rest of the local economy is doing at the time. How well off you are,
but lived a pretty decent life back in this day.
oh yeah, quite.
Well, thank you very much for sharing. This was a very knowledgeable. We're heading to the doctor's office,
Oh yes?
so I'm looking forward to going over there.
The doctor's is quite an interesting place as well.
Do you know if there's a doctor in the house today?
I believe there should be.
Awesome.
No one will actually be pulling your teeth
No.
or anything like that. But
Oh, that's right.
though, if you need a tooth pulled, this is the other place you'd come in the village if you wanted it done.
Nice.
People would actually avoid the doctors when they could. Well, germs technically were a thing that were known of. A lot of doctors are like, phooey, I can't see it, I don't believe it, this looks clean to me. So, yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you and have a great day.
You as well.
Thank you.
Cheers.
All right, guys. I hope you like that. Okay. Now, one of my last stops today, because what's been awesome is I'm going to do a couple more places, but what's been awesome is that Black Creek Pioneer Village has been very gracious in allowing me to scope here. Now, the one condition that they have is that I avoid scoping kids, which I totally understand. They have rules and regulations against that. So I am doing my best to avoid the children. So here is the boots and shoe shop. We'll just pop our head in there. Now, when I look at, let me just rest that for 1 second, because there's 40 buildings in Black Creek Pioneer Village. So I just want to make sure that I'm giving you the correct information. You don't see anyone else? Well, it's on 30 acres. This is 30 acres, and I'm walking around. So, like I said, this is Daniel Flynn's boot and shoe shop, and circa 1858. So, it's the village shoemaker. So let's have a look. Village shoemaker. So let's pop in. Again, it is a little chilly in here because there's no one in here that has the fire going. But this is what your typical shoemaker shop would look like in the early 1900s. This is located in Toronto, just north of Toronto. In Toronto, but just north of the core of Toronto. If you were flying here and you wanted to come here, it's probably about 15 minutes away from the airport. So I'm just gonna just look at that. Yeah, cool. All right. So we have a truck behind us that's not from the 1860s. So, Adidas, that's right, that's where it started. So this is Dominion Carriage Works. So while I get this truck going here, let me just have a look over here, guys. 1 sec. 28. Cabinet Maker Shop and Hands-On History Center, circa 1867. Cabinet maker, repairs wooden furniture. Pretty cool. So we're just going to walk past here, this truck, because I think they're working in there, so I won't bother anyone. So we're going to go over to the doctor's office. Thanks for joining. This building right over here, let me have a look. Black Creek Printing Office. That's 1850. Excuse me. But what we're going to do is we are going to, or maybe not, they might be shooting in the doctor's office or doing something in the doctor's office. So I may, because I see some things on the bench, I mean, I'll walk in. So this doctor's office is 1830s. So let's walk in and have a look. Oh, sorry. I think something was being done in here earlier. So I'm just going to show it off a little. I can come back here another day. So again, this is the doctor's office. I guess you would come into this big room. It'd be heated. Oh, see, yeah. So they were doing something in here. So, just look in here, and then I'll go. Yeah. They were filming here a series this week, so this may have been one of the sets. So they have to dress it again, I'm sure. Okay. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do, if you want to pop back in the next 2 minutes or so, I will come back. Here, I will leave this shot on the doctor's house, and I will come back because I have just a couple more buildings to show you, and that'll be my tour of Black Creek Pioneer Village for today. But I'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, bye guys.